Welcome students to our online teaching and learning at Chet Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College. Students, you all must be aware of banking, known to be a hectic task. Let it be depositing or say withdrawing. When you come across terms related to bank, we see these following signs and terms related to bank like auction, bank location, an ATM, a credit card, payments security, online payments, mobile security, m-commerce, safe deposit, money exchange, gold, and many other things. You come across all these things which are all related to bank. So with this all, what is the main purpose of banks? What services do we get from them? Let's see. So the main service what we get or the main purpose from banks is to look after customer savings, to find out the methods of payments, to mortgages to home buyers, keeping something for mortgage and buying homes, also to take loans from the business, also to offer interest to saving or the savers. These are all the purpose of bank and what is the help we get from the bank. In today's topic, we shall see how all these things are connected to a customer and if not followed will make you pay a good cost. Now let's see how and why. We shall see this in the lesson My Financial Career by Stephen Lecoq, Standard 9th, Lesson 4.4. Before we begin, let's know a few things about the author Stephen Lecoq. Stephen Butler Lecoq, born in December 1869 and died on March 1944. He was born in England and moved to Canada when he was 6 years old. He became a Canadian teacher, a political scientist, writer, and humorist. Though not as renowned in modern times, during the early 90s, Lecoq was the most famous humorist writing in the English language. At one point, it was said that more people had heard of Stephen Lecoq than Canada. At least one source estimates that between 1910 and 1925, Lecoq was the most widely read narrator in the English speaking world. So students, before we begin, let's know the theme of the story, what the story is all about. My Financial Career humorously presents a person's first experience in the bank. The main theme of the story focuses on the tension and stupid actions happen in the bank. There is fun and laughter when the narrator makes a joke of himself through his words and behavior. The story portrays the theme of anxiety, trust, confusion, identity, and conflict. The narrator is rattling as he enters the bank. The fear is driven by the narrator's lack of trust in the bank. He does not wish to part with his money but knows that he has to because the sum of money he has is too large to keep. The writer asks for a withdrawal slip as he wants to withdraw $6 out of 56 he has deposited. The people stare at him, which made him miserable. Instead of writing $6, he writes $56 on the check and gives it to the clerk, who asks whether he is withdrawing the whole amount. And he says yes, to hide his nervous mistake. He takes $56 and rushes out of the bank. He after that keeps his money in his socks. This is a rough idea or the theme of the story My Financial Career wants to tell, which has been written by Stephen Lecoq. Now, let's have a quick glance over the summary of the lesson as to let's understand point by point what the story is all about. When the narrator Stephen Lecoq would go into a bank, he would get very nervous at the sight of the clerk, the counter, and the money. He used to get nervous when we enters the bank. So many times we get scared of certain things. And our writer over here is scared of banking. Whenever he goes to bank, he is either nervous or he is being very much afraid of the things around him because he doesn't have any idea about bank. And when it comes to bank, it is related to money, which makes him afraid. He feels transacting business in a bank would be an irresponsible job for him. He feels that banking is an irresponsible job which is not his cup of tea. He feels he is irresponsible to handle this job. Since the narrator's salary had been raised to $50 a month, so he thought bank would be a safe place for it. You open a bank account just to save your money. So that is what the narrator also thought, is that to save his more amount of money which he was receiving from this upcoming salary, he wanted to open an account to keep his money safe. He decided to go to a bank. As he enters, he gets very nervous since he does not have any knowledge about the bank. So finally, after a lot of urges and the need, he finally enters the bank, where he realizes that the bank is a place where he is not worth to stand. He feels he does not have any knowledge about the bank and he lacks the knowledge, and that is why he is nervous. He wanted to open an account, and so he thought he must consult a manager. Now, when you enter a bank, you have no idea, and that is what happened with the manager. He had no idea as to whom he has to meet. The narrator went up to a wicket marked as accountant. The word wicket means a counter. The narrator went to an accountant. He describes the accountant was a tall, cool devil. It means he was quite a tall person and a very scary person to look for. He spoke to the accountant in a very serious voice, asking him if he can see the manager alone. Since the narrator had no idea as to what this banking is all about, he thought opening an account means meeting a manager. So he asked to meet a manager, and he always keeps on repeating the word alone. He says he wants to meet the manager alone. Now every customer who wants to open an account, it does not need to meet a manager. And this is what the knowledge the narrator was lacking. So when the narrator met the manager, who was a serious, calm man, he was very concerned and wanted to confirm if it was the manager whom he was going to speak to. Now, once he met the manager, he was still confused if he is really the manager. So he wanted to confirm if he was the manager of the bank. The narrator's nervousness made him ask the question, "Can I see you alone?" The narrator now requests the manager if he could see him alone, because he wants to talk to him something separately which he didn't want anyone to know of. The manager got a little alarmed. He thought if the man had any awful secret to reveal. Now the manager of the bank got alarmed, because due to it can be any robbery case, it can be any theft, and so the manager was alert and wanted to know something secret, or maybe thought this man wanted to share a secret. So he became very alarmed and wanted to know what the man wanted to speak. So what happened next? The manager took him to a private room and told him he was safe from any interruption. The narrator was still uncomfortable to speak to the manager because he was still nervous as to how to speak to the manager. The manager thought if he was any Pinkerton's men. Now, Pinkerton's men were the first detective agency found in US in the year 1850. It was an organized intelligence department system which worked for the federal states of America, which began from the year 1861. So that was the manager thought if he was any Pinkerton's men who had come to say something or to inform them something. The narrator's behavior made him feel if he was a detective, because the way the narrator was behaving, it sounded as if he was any detective who wanted to tell something or just find something or come to get any information. The narrator convinced him that he did not come from a rival agency. He did not come from any agency, the narrator explained. And he was not any detective also. The manager then concluded if he was the son of the Baron Rothschild or a young Gould. Now, Baron Rothschild is the one who was known to be the wealthiest man or the most important person of the time. The people in those days who were the richest or the wealthiest people were called as the Barons. Baron Rothschild, a famous person, or also a young Gould. Now, young Gould is one of the richest men of the time, is called as a young Gould. Any rich man is called as a Gould, and Baron Rothschild was the wealthiest person of those days in those years in US, and that's how they wanted to know. The narrator might be a young rich man, he thought, and that's why he became more inquisitive to know. The manager was very restless to know, because the way the narrator was behaving, it sounded as if he was having some suspense to say. So here we stop with the first part of the lesson. The remaining part of the lesson we shall see in our next video. Thank you.